Today we're going to be checking out Genshin Impact and how it performs on the OLED Steam Deck. You can check out another video that I made on how to install Genshin on your Steam Deck. But today we're going to go through every single option of settings, low, medium, high, and ultra. And we're going to see how well this thing performs. I think that's it. Let's jump into it. Okay, so Genshin has a lowest, low, medium, high, and custom. So we're going to go through all of those and include a custom option at the end. Lowest defaulted it to 30 frames per second, but I'm going to jump that up. All right, here we go. Lowest settings, 60 frames per second. How's the game gonna do? I'm hoping that we're gonna get a solid 60 frames per second out of this. And what do you know? Oh, unfortunately it's dipping into the 58 to 60, but in reality, you'd have to be just staring at that FPS counter to even notice that that's happening. Except right there, that was intense. What was that all about? Definitely having some stutters here and there, but for the most part, it's playing really smooth. And it looks awesome on the OLED Steam Deck screen. We need to find some enemies. Even like right there was some stutters and whatnot, which is interesting. We're also getting 4+ hours of playtime on low settings. So if battery life matters to you, the OLED Steam Deck is the PC handheld king. After playing for a little while, it seems that 60 frames per second is pretty locked in now, and it's not having much of an issue at all. Where are all the enemies? All right, lowest, not a problem. Now it's time to switch over to low. Low is also defaulting to 30 FPS, so I'm gonna jump that up to 60. I have a feeling this is gonna run pretty much the same. It does look a little bit better, and we're still at that 60 frames per second, dipping a little bit here and there, but again, not noticeable at all. So it probably wouldn't be necessary to play it in lowest, unless you did want to cap it at the 30 frames per second, hit it to all the lowest, and get the most battery life possible. We had a little bit of a dip there into the 50s, 40. It's a little stuttery. Honestly, I was hoping it would play a little bit smoother than this. It's definitely playable, even with the stutters. That doesn't affect much. But it would have been really nice to have just a full-on solid 60 frames per second. All right, 60 frames per second, easy work at lowest settings. So now let's jump in and go up to medium, which is what they say is the default settings. Now we'll just jump back in the game, see how it performs. And right off the bat, we are getting a nice 60 frames per second, which is great. At medium settings, everything's looking awesome on the OLED screen. It doesn't seem to be performing much worse at medium than it was even at lowest. What is happening is we're using more watts, so we lost about 45+ minutes of game time. I'm never worried about the battery life on this device because I'm never playing games for 3+ hours or even 2 hours. So some of the other handhelds that maybe die within an hour, that could be a little stressful, but the OLED is kind of a sweet spot for battery life. Of course, more would be great, but in the time and age, it is so much further ahead than all the other devices in terms of battery life. Let's put it this way. I just never think about the battery because it's fine. I charge it after I'm done playing with it, and when I want to play, I can just pick it up and play for as long as I want. Yeah, this is having no issues. Medium, 60 frames per second, not a problem. Okay. Shall we go up to high? All right, high is the last settings. They don't have like an ultra, but I do think there's a couple settings that we can tweak up higher after this. And even at high, we are still maintaining 60 frames per second, which is great. Every single level of this game, we can play it at. that still has these micro stutters like just happen right there. I'm not sure if that's like all of that. So at high, oh yeah, we're getting a lot right there. They don't last very long, and then it goes right back to 60 frames per second. So if you really want the quality to be the best, you can definitely play it this way. As long as you don't mind every once in a while when it just dips and does some weird stuff. But in a game like Genshin, that doesn't matter that much. Let's be real. And having everything at high settings looks awesome. Look at this dog. Will he dig? Oh my gosh, he's a happy dog. High settings, easy, not a problem. All right, now we just want to check if there's any other settings that weren't maxed out. So they don't have an ultra, but I do think there are some things. I wish you could do 120 or 90, 75 frames per second, but they just don't let you do that, which is really lame. I don't know why they do. Okay, render resolution maxed out, 1.5. High, 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 highest. Keep that on FSR2. On, extreme, on, high, on, and then this one, 16. Okay, this is what we will deem ultra. Everything is maxed out. You can't do it any more than this. And there we go. Now we're dipping. We're in the 30s to 40 frames per second. Looks awesome. So the OLED Steam Deck can definitely handle every single possible setting configuration that you can do in Genshin Impact. Unfortunately, at this ultra settings, we're not gonna get that 60 frames per second, but it's dancing in the high 30s into the 40s. But now the battery has cut in half. We have 2 hours and 20 minutes now. So it's definitely working a lot harder at maxed out settings. But again, what a great option to have, to be able to play the game at the full maxed out settings on a handheld PC. Another thing I wanted to try is capping the frame rate at 34 frames per second and see if we could maintain 34 at these ultra settings. And it really actually looks like that helped a lot. It's not fluctuating nearly as much as it was before capping the hertz of the screen, which is amazing. 34 frames per second at all maxed out settings. This isn't a bad way to play. I wonder if we could get it up even from there. Let's just go all the way to 40.
Oh, isn't it?
All right, 40 is too much. It's chilling at that 35, 36, 37. Maybe it'll go up. Let's give it a minute. So it can't maintain 40, but it is pretty close. So you could cap it at 40 just so you get a little bit better, but it is definitely fluctuating more, where the previous one was really locked in quite nicely, because this is struggling to get to 40 very often. We're at the mid 30s most of the time, and I'm sure if you jumped into a battle, it would just get crazy, as in bad, not good. Not too shabby. This is pretty impressive. The OLED Steam Deck, though underpowered compared to many of the handhelds on the market, still performs and is so much more convenient in every other way that it's hard to justify the cost of some of these other handhelds right now. Not that I wouldn't love some. I want to try out many of them. If you'd like me to try out any games, please leave it in the comment, or if you have questions about anything, I pretty much comment back to every single person. Sorry if I didn't to you. You're one of the 1% who I didn't. I apologize. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.